3 days from now, most everybody on the East Coast will be at New York Comic Con, and we're stuck in Phoenix.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And we'd like to thank the cult members who continue to watch this show. We've been pushing. We're almost a year now. At the end of the month, we'll be a year into this, and we have some regulars. We just ask that whenever you're hanging out and you're talking to your friends about shows that you watch on YouTube, mention the Pop Culture Cult.
Sure. Yes. Mention us.
Mention us. Make it easy. So we have some stuff that we want to go over this week. A lot of it's movie news. All of the new TV stuff starts this week.
Yep.
So there's been a couple of shows that have started. Discovery, we've talked about that and how terrible it was. Apparently it got better after the third episode, but whatever.
I'm still not paying for it.
Still not paying for it, but Gifted starts tonight. The Arrowverse starts this week. Inhumans has started. Apparently, badly.
I remember when TV used to start in September.
Well, it's kind of September.
No, it's October. It's the 2nd of October.
It is. It's the aftermath of September. The first couple. No, all right, whatever. I'm getting that weird look from my wife. Like, what are you talking about, Willis?
Anyways,
so a bunch of movie news. Let's get into it. Glass, the third in the series of Unbreakable and Split, and now Glass, started filming last week. This is M. Night Shyamalan's sequel, not sequel, but sequel.
And if you haven't seen Split yet, spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, it's been out for almost a year, so.
Yeah.
If you're getting upset that we're not spoiling, or that we're spoiling the fact that Glass is a sequel to Split, then that's on you. I'm sorry.
You should have watched it.
You should watch it again. Actually,
yeah.
The release date for that though is January 18th of 2019. So they're filming now, and I think they said 39-day filming schedule is what they were planning on.
Wow.
Yeah. So
fast.
Pretty interesting. We're really excited about it, along with all of the other movies that are coming out between now and then.
Yeah.
Jesus freaking. Where are our cards?
I don't know.
All right. We did, however, see a movie this weekend. Actually, we watched two movies this weekend. We watched Blade Runner, the final cut, to get us ready for 2049.
Yep.
That we're going to go see on Friday. We'll have a full review on Saturday morning. But we also watched Gerald's Game. Now, Gerald's Game is a new movie that was put on Netflix on Friday, and it is a Stephen King adaptation of the book of the same name. Is it a book or a short story?
No, it's a book.
Is it a book?
Yep.
Kind of out of left field that this is actually one of the ones that they did.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it until somebody at work said, hey, they're putting a couple of movies on Netflix, Stephen King movies, and that was like that day. I went and looked and saw that Gerald's Game, so I came home and said, we're watching Gerald's Game tonight, because it was one of the Stephen King books that really freaked me out.
Right. Now we're not gonna spoil anything, but there is a couple things that we need to talk about that actually are in the trailer, so we're not really spoiling it. But this couple are having problems in their marriage, and so they thought they'd go do a romantic weekend at the cabin on the lake, and there's nobody else there. They get a little kinky, and he handcuffs her to the bed, and then he has a heart attack because you never double up on Viagra.
Right.
And so it's her kind of losing her mind.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff, which is why this book freaked me out, because there are multiple bad guys.
Yeah.
There are multiple bad guys, and it's her remembering and dealing with, and oh, by the way, she's handcuffed to the bed, and
she can't get out. She can't reach the key. She can't get the phone.
It's very psychological.
It's a very psychological thriller kind of style of movie story that they turned into a movie. And we've talked about this before. I don't really do horror films, so a lot of the Stephen King stuff that when it ends up coming up, I'm like, but I liked it, and it was really well done. And so she was like, this is a psychological one. I love psychological thrillers.
Yeah.
And so that's what this was, and just making you deal with some stuff that, making her deal with stuff, and in turn making you deal with stuff.
Yep.
And just so well done. All shot in one room. Essentially, there's a couple scenes outside, one location, super low budget. It had Carla Gugino? Gugino. And Bruce Greenwood, who are the couple. And and that's about it. There's some other people that are in it, but those are the two that you know. Bruce Greenwood, 61, and is freaking buff as hell, and spends most of the movie with no shirt, walking around in just his underwear.
Yeah.
And just the way it was shot and the storytelling process. And I asked her when we got done how close it was to the book, and you said it was pretty close.
It was pretty close. And I've heard a couple people that probably don't know the story kind of complained about the ending, and that was in the book. That was how it ended. So
I liked the ending. I liked how they handled all of that.
Yeah.
And there's only one scene where I watched like this. And you'll know it when you see it. But go get it. It's on Netflix. So if you're already getting Netflix, it's on there.
Yep.
Definitely go watch it. So we should probably give it a score, huh?
Oh, that's tough because, I thought it was really good, but it's also kind of a TV movie.
I would say probably 7.5.
Yeah, I was going to say 7.5, 8. For what they did with a low-budget movie. Netflix didn't have to put a ton of money behind this.
No.
But it was still really good.
Yeah. And Carla and Bruce, the two main actors, are people who I want to say you can get fairly cheap, but they will work at a cheaper rate, especially for something like this.
Yeah.
And it's all on one set, and so you could probably film it pretty easily in a couple week period, and maybe put a couple $1 million into it, and put it on Netflix and see what happens, and maybe you can do more adaptations. And they're doing 1922,
right?
Which we watched the trailer for afterwards, which is also again a Stephen King one, and so I would say probably a 7.5 for that.
Yeah.
And so
yep,
fair. Another one to put on the list of. We need to go watch some really bad movies and change our list because everything right now is around 7 to 8, and so we'll wait until
we can rewatch The Circle again.
That's a -2. So some we're gonna do this in the movie trivia schmodown match of the week, brought to you by Epoch News, Epoch VR News, who needs to do some content. Josh. We had 2 matches last week to start the singles tournament. Yep. We had Jeff Snyder and Matt Nost in the first match.
Yep.
Snyder is one of the Patriots. Boo.
Boo.
Really, really, really good match.
It was.
Went back and forth. Matt got off to a bad start, got caught up, and his last question was, who's the boat operator and 27 meters down?
And he's like, I didn't see it.
Nobody saw it. Like, even Jeff was like, I have no idea. Matthew Bodine, by the way. Now everybody knows. But a really good, fun match.
Yeah.
I liked it was
suspenseful, you weren't real sure who was going to win. Yeah.
The second match, we had Josh McCouga, who got married this weekend. So this match came up on Friday. They posted on Friday. So it's Josh McCouga versus Mike Kalinowski. Now, Kalinowski's been on a kind of a tear on some matches and the team stuff for a bit now. And McCouga is the guessing champion of the world. He's done really well. McCouga couldn't even finish the second round. He got wrecked so bad.
I think his mind was elsewhere.
Yes.
It was tough to watch.
Not a great match with those two guys who were so fun and interactive and stuff like that. They were.
Yeah,
it was very, very, and I would like to point out that Christian decided to post that match on the Friday when Makuga got married. He couldn't shuffle the board around so he could wait. This match ended badly. Let's hide it back over here a little ways. No. Let's put it up Friday because that's how Christian rolls. But one good match, one not so good match of the movie trivia Schmodown. It's on Collider. Go watch it, and definitely worth the watch. We love the movie trivia, and we're so glad that they're doing just 2 a week now. So DC and Warner Brothers, it came out in an interview this last week with Vulture that Warner Brothers and DC will be de-emphasizing the whole the interconnected DC extended universe and their future films. And so essentially what that comes down to is the way I read it and the way I've had other people I've heard talk about it, was there will be a storyline, but the movies won't be directly connected with each other.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. More like the standalone Marvel movies.
I was thinking more like the X-Men, the standalone X-Men movies.
Yeah.
More of that kind of storyline. Yep. Jeff Johns, who is the runner of the DC movie universe right now, pretty much said the movies will be standalone. There'll be an overlaying arc at some of the movies, but some of them will be just straight out standalone. The Joker movie, the Batman movie, there'll be these standalone things. And they won't be filled with Easter eggs promoting the next movie. And this movie doesn't have to happen because this movie has to happen, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably good.
Yeah. I mean, they need to pick a direction and go with it. And obviously trying to emulate we've talked about this before. They're trying to emulate what Marvel did, except they're way too late to the show.
Right.
And so they're just playing catch up. Just, do something different, which seems like what they're doing. They're doing some kind of noir kind of stuff, which is very cool in the Batman universe, right? Because it
makes complete sense there.
Dark and So I hope that they can make it happen, make it good.
I've been saying for a while that I think that they need to do the X-Men kind of universe where each movie is kind of its own thing, but there's connective tissue because you have a lot of the same actors playing the same characters, right? And so you want to have some connectivity there, but the Aquaman movie doesn't need to have Flash in it and Wonder Woman in it, and it made sense in Wonder Woman at the beginning to have them show the photo from BVS.
Right.
That made sense.
Right. And Tony talks to her. Is it the beginning or the end where he calls her? I think it's the beginning. Where she gets on the phone, she's like, what's this? When she gets the box and she opens it.
She was emailing him.
Oh, was it email?
Yeah. No, yeah. So that kind of thing would make sense. But this, Wonder Woman needs to show up in the Flash movie. They're talking about that for a minute, and then a Cyborg and Flash are going to be in Flashpoint together, and and Aquaman's going to have Batman show up, and
they could do it if it makes sense, but you don't have to do it in every single movie. And force characters into storylines where it doesn't make sense.
Right, absolutely. So that's good to hear that they actually. It sounds like the direction that they were going in wasn't working. They spent some time to figure it out. They put in some new people to lead, and now they're going in this direction and they're going forward. And that's very obvious after the Wonder Woman did so well, and they kind of they've been working on Justice League now. We've seen a trailer. The first trailer we saw for Justice League wasn't at this San Diego Comic-Con. It was at the previous one. Yeah. So they've been working on it for almost 2 years. Yeah. And they've had to redo a bunch of stuff. So it looks like they down the torpedoes. We're gonna do it right and then go forward.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. Very much like Kathleen Kennedy. Speaking of Wonder Woman, we did get the DVD. We actually got it not this weekend, but the weekend before, and totally forgot about it. Talking about it in the show last week because football was on. And so the movie, we've talked about the movie a bunch. We really love the movie. But the DVD itself has got a ton of extras in it.
Yeah.
I didn't even put them all on here. But the couple of the ones that we watched that we really liked was Etta. Is it Etta? Etta's?
Etta.
Etta's mission. They do this like...
It's almost like the things they would put at the very end of the Marvel movies, except it's not. It's its own little.
It's its own
short.
Yeah, and it's like a little 4 or 5 minute short, and it's got the Commando Squad or whatever. It doesn't have Wonder Woman in it, but it has Etta and
Etta's his secretary.
Yeah.
Chris Pine's character secretary. So I want her in more stuff.
Yeah,
I love her.
She was awesome. And I'm not gonna spoil what happens in the scene, but it's important.
It is.
I'll just put it that way.
It is.
The one thing that I wanted to see out of everything when they announced the DVD was coming out was them spending time with the women who were the Amazons on the island and stuff. And all the stuff that they did to get ready and who they were as people, and then what they did to kind of become the Amazons and stuff like that, and how they did all the training and stuff. That was really cool. I thought that was a lot of fun. That's what I really wanted to see out of the DVD, and they did a really good job. They probably spent, it's like 15 or 20 minutes, and that's about what I wanted to see.
Yeah. I mean, it was interesting. I mean, there's, they're not necessarily stunt women, but athletes, right? They're
one was like an ex-boxer and
and archer, like Olympic archer or something, and then horse people and stuff. They're not necessarily stunt women in the movies, and so I was really interested to see that. And some of it's there's a lot of green screen because that island isn't a real place, so there's some green screen, but a lot of the stuff is them really jumping off the horses
and spinning around and doing all that stuff. It was really well, and it was cool seeing them all train together and how they all pushed each other while they were doing the training, and then them getting on site and doing a lot of the choreographed and stuff. That was really cool. They spent a lot of time talking about Patty Jenkins. Yeah. Like they should.
Yeah. She is not who I thought she was going to be. I don't know why, but I just expected her to be older.
Yeah.
And like J.K. Rowling's-ish.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that's how I pictured her in my head. And then she's very young and she's very pretty, and it's like, oh, okay.
And cool. They did a lot of behind the scenes stuff of showing her jumping in and kind of working with Gal Gadot. And like this is kind of what I'm thinking, and that's what I want to see. And
she's not sitting in a chair behind a camera. She's actually
out
in
there talking with the actors and the actresses and all that stuff. That was really cool to see, because especially with somebody with Patty Jenkins' obvious abilities to direct. I'm just saying it again. Get that woman some more jobs. Showing her that this was a example of the studio going, we do have something here and a director. Let's spotlight her.
Yeah.
And they do that with JJ. They do that with, Soderbergh. They do that with all those people. And you're a big time director when you get one of these featurettes on a big boy movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was really cool.
It was awesome.
And then there's like extended scenes, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff and blah, 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 blah. And the blooper reel is awesome.
It is. There's a lot of laughing going
on. Gal just laughing is just like worth watching.
Yeah, and she can laugh at herself. She struggles sometimes. English, it's not her first language, and so she struggles with words sometimes, and then just laughing at herself because she can't say something.
Right, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So definitely get the DVD. Definitely get the Blu-ray. It looks really cool, even though it's kind of shot a little grainy but it's World War I, so it looks a little weird, but it's definitely worth it for the Blu-ray, and we don't have a 4K thing, so whatever. So talk about remakes.
Is there a clamoring for this?
So they're making Coming to America 2, because it's only been 865 years, and Eddie Murphy's not doing anything else. The Hollywood Reporter is reporting that there's a sequel in the works with the guy who directed Warm Bodies, Jonathan Levine, with the creator of Blackish writing the script, Kanye Barris. Now, Warm Bodies is not great, but is okay. It's not great. It's not terrible, but it's okay.
Didn't Eddie Murphy write the first one?
He was part of the writing staff. I want to say that he was the main writer, but there was a couple other people there with him or whatever. And Blackish is hugely popular for everything. But is this the son of the prince coming?
Right, because he's been here for 30 years now.
I don't understand what's going on. Why? What is there? I understand there's this huge push to remake everything from the 80s because of Stranger Things. Okay, the nostalgia berries or whatever the fuck they call them. Member berries and all that stuff is great. It's fun, but it has to make sense. This one just doesn't make sense. I want to see Beverly Hills Cop. That makes more sense to me than, can we do Trading Places 2? Can we do Harlem Nights 2? Can we just do all of freaking Eddie Murphy's old movies except for another 48 Hours and Beverly Hills Cop? I just don't understand.
I don't know.
And it's not even him. He's not even signed on to do anything for it right now. Now, the rumor is he's going to reprise his role. But he's not signed on for anything right now. So there's going ahead with this story without... You can't tell this story without Eddie Murphy.
Well, and okay, so, we've both watched a lot of 80s Eddie Murphy, Raw, and... Delirious.
Yeah.
And...
I'd rather see that.
That character, which is why I was saying, didn't Eddie write some of that? So his character bled over, or his stand-up bled over. I don't know which came first.
Right.
But you see a lot of what he does in those two, in Raw and Delirious, in Coming to America. Now it's cleaned up because it's a PG movie or whatever.
Right.
But the African woman that's in Coming to America. So who are they gonna get to spotlight? It felt like it was like a spotlight of Eddie Murphy, and there's just, I don't know of any.
Are they gonna do
black comedians that works for?
Are they gonna do some of the Middle Eastern comics that are coming out right now?
You got to be big though, right?
Yeah, I don't. Because Ahmed. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's
Aziz Ahmed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just don't see. I understand doing some remakes or sequels 20 or 30 years later. I can get it. I can understand it. But this one just is another one that just doesn't make any sense. It's like doing the frickin' Greatest American Hero, the girl version. It doesn't make any sense either. And I just don't.
I don't know. We'll see if any. Half of these things never
really.
happen.
Actually, that's true. Just because it's in development doesn't actually mean it's going.
Yeah.
They're doing a Hocus Pocus sequel too, and that did again. I don't understand what that is.
New content and market it correctly, and we'll all be happy.
Yes, I know, it's amazing, huh? Speaking of new content, Lord and Miller, the directors that got asked to leave Han Solo, who did 21 Jump Street and the Lego Movie, have been hired to direct a new movie based off the book called Artemis. Now, Artemis is the newest book from Andy Weir. Andy Weir did The Martian, and then Ridley Scott loved it so much that he talked Matt Damon into spending 3 hours on Mars in a movie by himself. I love The Martian. It's so well done, and the book is really, really good.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed the book. And so Andy Weir's new book, Artemis, actually comes out in November. But they're already moving forward with the movie.
And so this is interesting, right? Because I don't know that it's supposed to be a spoof. I don't know that that's...
It's from what people have said who have read the book, it's very much like The Martian. And The Martian had a lot of comedy elements to kind of bring levity to what was going on.
Well, yeah, or he's going to go crazy.
Right? And but this is actually set on the moon. It's actually the Artemis is an adrenaline-charged crime caper, which features smart, detailed, mind-building,
world
building based on real science,
right.
And it's all on the moon. So
that's not really Lord and Miller's style.
MO, and they do a lot of improving on set, or improvising lines and stuff like that. So I find it really interesting that this is the one that they picked to go with. Known source material from a known, well-respected author. I won't say writer because he's an author, and it's a follow-up to a highly successful, well-received movie. So it's not really a sequel. It's new material, but
right. But it's by the same author, so it's got the same feel, and people are going to be expecting the same. It's going to be held to the same level, and it's not comedy. It's sci-fi.
Right.
Like you said, I mean, there's some funny parts, but that's because he's there by himself and trying to, otherwise it'd be 2 hours of dry science-y stuff, so.
The Moon. I like The Moon with Sam Rockwell, but that movie only works because Sam Rockwell essentially goes crazy.
Yeah. There's some funny lines in that one, too.
That's true.
But, yeah, it's not 21 Jump Street, so I don't know.
I wanted them to do Flash. I wanted them to do Flashpoint. And now that they've taken this and they're gonna rush forward with making it, that means Robert Zemeckis is gonna do Flashpoint. I mean, that's it. That was the list. It was Lord and Miller, Robert Zemeckis, just did Kingsman, Matthew Vaughn. That was the list. So it's gonna be Robert Zemeckis doing Flashpoint, but Lord and Miller doing Artemis. I find that very interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know.
See.
So a couple TV things that we wanted to talk about. The first one is, let's do Waco first. We saw the trailer for Waco. I remember it's based on the
David
Koresh compound in Waco, Texas, and had a cult, and they FBI and everybody showed up and they burnt it down with everybody in it. I remember when all that happened in the 90s.
Yeah.
And so they are doing a 6-part series to be to do this, and I didn't write it down. I can't remember what channel it's going to be on. I don't remember what channel it's going to be on. But it's a 6-part series to tell this story. And the trailer was really interesting. And then we stopped and went back, and it's Taylor Kitsch is playing David Koresh. And we're like,
he's got the mullet and the big glasses
and super skinny in his face.
Yeah,
and, I mean, he looks like David Koresh. He does really look like David Koresh. But there's a lot of people. Michael Shannon's in this, and John Leguizamo's in it. I mean, there's a lot of people. Julianne Greer. Just a lot of people. They talking about how they didn't put a whole lot of money in Gerald's Game. It looks like they put a lot of money into this for a 6-part series.
Probably more with the actors. Again, you're on one location,
right?
So and if it's filmed in Texas or even maybe New Mexico, production costs are cheaper.
Well, it's probably New Mexico. Let's be honest, because it's.
And we should ask our friends if they're.
I wonder if Jax is working on that. I know he was in Atlanta for a little while, so, which everything's being filmed in Atlanta right now, so we'll have to find out. But this is on the heels of the People versus O.J. Simpson, Manhunt, the Unabomber, the Mendez true crime story of the Mendez,
Law and Order,
Law and Order stuff.
Thing.
So they are going. There's this trend after the People versus O.J. Simpson came out and was so well received, even if the story wasn't exactly told the right way, and John Travolta kind of not playing the character the right way, but whatever. But it's on this kind of that same thing, and they're going back and they're telling some of these stories from the 90s and stuff.
Yeah,
and
I wish they would. I like the true crime stuff better, and so I wish that they would stick more with what really happened, because as an observer, you only get what the news feeds you,
right.
And so,
right.
They have all these people that were involved in these things to come out and, and say both sides or whatever.
Yeah,
I wish they would stick more with that. But
it's a dramatization. I got it up.
Yeah.
And but I just this is the one I'm actually really interested in. All the other ones that have come out, I didn't really care about, but this one I find it interesting, and partly because of Taylor Kitsch. I like Taylor Kitsch as an actor, and he's kind of gotten a bad rap of not being a very good actor and being able to carry stuff, because he kind of got thrust in the limelight, and John Carter didn't do very well, and a couple of other
I
things.
liked John Carter.
I did too. I thought John Carter was really well done.
We like him and Aaron Taylor Johnson in Savages.
Yeah, Savages is so much fun. Outside of it's Oliver Stone. As long as Oliver doesn't talk, it's fine. Right? Just stop running your mouth.
You wouldn't necessarily know this is an Oliver Stone movie.
That's true. It's definitely does not look like an Oliver Stone movie. And so the other TV piece that we wanted to do was, so rumors came out last week that Disney came into ABC and said, you're going to listen to us, and you're going to not cancel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And ABC said, okay. And
well, they are owned by Disney.
Yeah. Yes, master. Yes, master. Yes, master. Anything else, you master? So there's been a lot of rumors about the cancellation of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a while. I like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You typically seem to like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
But I feel like it's probably run its course.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do now. But the talk has been, at least what I've been able to read online, was a couple of the reasons why they actually saved it is, one, it's a very stable rating.
Okay.
It's not ever going to be a top 10 show. It's never going to be a top 15 show, but it's never going to be a bottom 15 show either.
Right.
It's
been a middle of the road.
It's kind of a middle of the road ratings. It doesn't cost a huge amount to make. The cast doesn't make $1 million an episode and that kind of thing.
Right.
The other thing too about it is, if you add the one of the things I really liked hearing was that they are adding the viewing numbers and the on-demand numbers and the DVR numbers. They're adding them all together to show that there's actually decent numbers there for this show. And then the other reason that they were talking about was, this is the only Marvel show on ABC. And ABC is obviously under the Disney umbrella. And so...
Well, New Mutants.
Well, Inhumans.
There we go.
And
which is gonna...
the thought was, if Inhumans lands and does very well,
right,
they will continue on with Inhumans and then ask Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to move aside, which is probably time. But if Inhumans doesn't do very well, they still have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. sitting there. And if you think about all the other Marvel shows that are coming out, Netflix has got the whole Defenders series. They're getting Punisher. Freeform's got Cloak and Dagger and the New Warriors. Hulu's got The Runaways. So it's the only main channel that actually has a Marvel-based thing. And if it's getting decent... if it's getting steady ratings, then there's no reason to be canceling it.
And the Inhumans, I mean, it's not doing well and hasn't even come out yet. I mean,
it's getting crushed. It's getting crushed really bad.
Yeah.
So not for just the CGI stuff. They're getting crushed for just the storyline just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I wanted to watch it. and now I'm glad we waited. But I probably will end up sitting down and watching the 6 or 8 episodes, and just binge it all, and give a proper viewing of it. But I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah.
Which is sad because Inhumans is kind of a really cool storyline. But
yeah, I don't know what they did,
but I just found it interesting that Disney's like, no, slap your hand, no, don't be canceling our shit.
Well, and network TV needs to start understanding that they are never going to have fulfilling viewer shows anymore. It's just not going to happen.
There's too many channels.
Way too many choices.
There's too many channels. There's too many options via Hulu and Netflix and Amazon and all that stuff. And right now, some of the best TV that's being made is on Netflix and Hulu and Amazon and FX and I'm going to say it, Sci-Fi. And these other channels, these other places, and network television is still trying to do that haha family laugh track in the background.
Well, not even that. They for Walking Dead or Fear the Walking Dead or like you said, Spike, AMC, comedy or Sci-Fi Channel, they're happy getting 3 to 5 million viewers a week, and network TV is still on that. We have to have 35 share of the viewing audience. Well, there's and if you're not going to take in DVR stuff because people can binge an entire season on Netflix, and they're going to do the same thing if they've got a DVR for the network stuff, because then we can fast forward through the commercials. If they're not going to take that into consideration, they're never going to get their 35 share.
We're still going to get commercials somehow. I mean, TV and radio were made to run advertising. We're still going to get commercials, but if your content is good, people are going to stick around for the commercials. If your content is shit, they're going to try to fast forward through it as much as they can. There
are way too many more areas that they can force commercials on you.
That's true.
In your Facebook feed, I'm getting commercials on my cell phone.
Yes.
Yep. So you could the internet is full of opportunities to show you commercials.
I thought the internet was for porn.
Not so much anymore.
That's
interestingly enough.
That's true. CW was all ecstatic when they did that 3.5 way crossover last year.
Yeah.
And the highest rated show got 3.5 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were super excited about all that.
Yeah.
So,
but ABC and NBC and CBS would be like,
yep,
pull it.
One last thing, and this is all about me. Isn't it?
Me.
Me too. So I just finished the Star Wars Aftermath book series. You had Aftermath, Life Debt, and then Empire's End. And it's the 3 books that actually fill in the gap between Return of the Jedi and A Force Awakens. I will be really honest, I'm not very happy with the overall story of the 3 books. The first one is I'll be honest, a tough listen, because I'm listening to the books, I'm not actually reading them. Readings for white people.
You're a white person.
Sometimes. The second book is much better. It's a much better story involved. And the third book is a much better story than the second one. But the story arc itself gets us from one point A to one point B, but not where I wanted them to go in that thing. I liked a couple of the characters. I found them really interesting. There's a B-1 battle mech droid from the Clone War movies that's called Mr. Bones. He's a stupid murder bot. He's freaking hilarious. He's amazing. I want a Mr. Bones. I want a hot toy of Mr. Bones. Come on, it just all painted red, and I've committed murder. I will mince them into 1,000,000 pieces for you and commit violence. It's like, oh my God, it's amazing. And I liked the mother and son. I liked their dynamic. The mother is actually the A-Wing pilot from when they blew up the second Death Star. So So she has, that's a direct connection to that. And they set up some really good stuff for The Force Awakens, and we get kind of that stuff. There may or may not be some stories in there where they hint at different characters in A Force Awakens. But the couple things that really bugged me the most was, although Han and Leia and Chewie are in the books, they're secondary characters. That's fine. I'm okay with that. They're not the main characters within the story itself.
Right.
My problem is that it felt like they were horseshoed in. Especially the story arc in the second book, Life Debt. And the other thing that really bugs the shit out of me is, and this might be just because I'm listening to it, I will put that completely out there. You have this story arc of the main group of characters, and then they stop and they do an interlude and they tell this whole other story, and it may or may not connect with the main story arc, or it goes back 25 years in the past, or it goes to a different planet somewhere, and then it comes back to the main storyline, and then in chapter 36, and then moves on to the next thing. And you're like, some of the interludes make sense for what you're trying to do. Most of them don't. And I just don't. I know what they were trying to do to interject these points of interest for the main story arc of Star Wars, but it just took away from the story.
And I do read. I also listen to books on tape, but I do actually read with my two eyes. And I think that reading would be just as bad. I mean, the point of books, at least for me, is that you get sucked in and they take you away, and you're off in this other place or living this other life or whatever. And so it seems like that's what they tried to do with that other book. That's all the kind of short stories.
Yeah.
Like they were trying to do that and then decided, maybe we should just make it its own separate book. Yeah. Which it really seems like they that should have done that.
40 stories for 40 years or something like
that.
I've done a bunch of the Star Wars books now. I've done Catalyst and Ahsoka and stuff like that. I'm not upset that I'm going to put it this way. I'm not upset that I listened to them. I think there's enough good stuff within the story arc, but getting from point A to point B and getting all that information to get there, it's 3 books. They're about 15 to 16 hours a piece.
Probably didn't need to be that
Probably didn't need to be that long. There was a couple of interludes that I was like, okay, I understand what that means, where that's going. There's some stuff at the end. Trying to remember what the show was. Well, they did it in Falling Skies. Falling Skies was this great big story arc.
Yeah.
And we had an episode left. And they ran out of money. And so they finished the story in 35 minutes.
Yeah.
So they closed everything up. And it was like the last chapter in the last book is kind of this, we know where they're going to go for Force Awakens. And in the last chapter, it's actually, it's the epilogue. It's not even the last chapter. It's the epilogue. And it's like maybe like 8 minutes of reading. So it's probably like maybe only 15 or 20 pages. It might be more. I read slow. But that was kind of the setup to stuff that happens in The Force Awakens. And I'm like, you had 3 books to tell this whole story. And they did. I mean, they were telling that story, but like it's like they forgot to tell that part of the story. And it just, so definitely, if you're looking for something to read, definitely go through it. Definitely read the first one. You have to read the first one to really get the other two. You can learn about the second. You can learn about the characters in the second and third book, but I think the first one is definitely worth reading to help you understand. But in the grand scheme of things, skip. Now I get to go listen to Leia, and I'm not going to cry. And maybe
I'm not crying. You're crying.
And maybe Phasma. So, what do you guys think of this week's episode of the Pop Culture Cult? Are you interested in Lord and Miller doing the Artemis movie? Are they really going to do coming to America too? Are you are you looking forward to Glass? And definitely go watch Gerald's Game. Definitely worth the watch. You can get a hold of us on Facebook at the Pop Culture Cult. We're also on Instagram at PopCultureCult1. And we're on Twitter at Pop_Cult1. We're also on the Stardust app under Pop Culture Cult. Download the app and follow us. Please like this video and leave your comments about everything that you saw in this episode or maybe news that we missed over the last week. Anything else?
Nope.
And everyone else out there, I wore this shirt for a reason. Be excellent to each other. I'm not asking for too much. Good night now.